Jovan, you've had a diverse career journey, starting from your time at Full Sail University to working on a cruise ship and eventually transitioning into a successful role in a business development and entrepreneurship. So my question to you is, do you think you're creative?
Yes, I don't know. I'm honestly, it's one of those things where like, do I think I'm creative? Maybe. I think I am. I don't know. Depends on what I'm doing. I think there has to be some level of creativity to everything you do in life, right? And I try to be creative. I try to be unique with every little thing that I do in every aspect of my life. Sometimes I'll be inspired or I'll take something from someone else's inspiration and I'll just add it or put my own little flavor onto it. So I try to be creative. I try to be different, but hey, we're all just humans, right?
We're all just humans trying to figure it out.
That's it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of just take me back a little bit because I know very random pieces from just mingling with the same people with me and you
Yeah,
from just like a relationship at Golden Juicery with Ethan, or just kind of just in general being Jupiter being the still the small town that it is. I'm
yes.
gonna hold on to that for the rest of my life,
I know, right?
even though the amount of people that are growing here. But yeah, I mean, then even you telling me that you went to Full Sail for college too, and then you're from Miami, so I mean, you well, coming from culture, having a nice mustache.
Oh yeah.
So kind of like take me back, like kind of like the adolescence age.
Adolescence age. So directly outside of high school, I actually wanted to go to Maritime College.
Okay.
That was my
And that was
first.
pre-hair
That
or
was
post-hair?
That was no, I had already shaved my head by that point.
Okay.
Yeah, because I shaved my head going into high school, and this was like at the end of high school. I had this obsession with boat pilots. I wanted to be a harbor pilot, like the ones that you see at the port of Miami, right?
Okay.
The pilot boats that
Yeah.
go out and take the ships in and
And
out of
that's where you
port.
were in Miami,
I
right?
was in Miami, yeah, born and raised in Miami, and I did go to college in Full Sail in Orlando, but I was before I got onto the whole Full Sail audio engineering, live sound engineering. I was looking at maritime colleges because I wanted to be a boat pilot. I didn't have a high enough GPA to get into maritime college, so my only other option was possibly enlisting into the military, and that didn't work out. So I ended up coming back home, and I ended up actually I was talking with my best friend at the time who knew that I was really into car audio. I used to have like a
Like
big
speakers and
yes.
oh,
I
nice,
used to have
dude.
like the two big 10-inch subwoofers in the back of the car, and I used to love car audio. It was something that was like a hobby of mine.
What song? Like I remember in high school, with just like some people go to DVA and get like the bass system
Yeah.
installed, and then when Lil Wayne was popping when I was in high school, and everyone's like blasting a milli just
Oh
because
yeah.
their bass.
Oh yeah.
What are some songs were you playing?
There was definitely a lot of DMX and
Hell
Tupac. I
yeah.
mean, this is early 90s for me. So there's a lot of DMX, a lot of Tupac, a lot of Biggie, that kind of stuff. 90s hip hop was what we were playing, and a lot of Beastie Boys and
Hmm.
maybe some Gorillas. There was some good stuff back then.
Nice.
Yeah, Diggable Planets, Wu Tang, all that good stuff. Got into car audio, and my best friend had convinced me that I should try out Full Sail. He wanted to go there for film and video, and I went for audio engineering. I always spent about, oh, well, they have like in their audio engineering program, they have like a mini school, like their prerequisites for like the first 3 or 4 months that you're there.
Okay.
And then you start into your core classes. My first core class was recording engineering, and there was like 50 kids in this class, and they all had like matching velour top and bottom gold grill, and they're like, yo, I just want to produce the next rap album. And I was like, I felt like so out of place. I
That's
was like, this
crazy.
is not.
So, like, kind of the general population of your classmates are just inspiring music producers mainly.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like I belonged. And
Yeah.
then I did a couple of studio sessions, and it was like 8, 9 hours of just going over the same song over and
Mm,
over again until the artist was able to get it right. I was like, shoot me. This is like a slow death. I can't
that's
do this.
hilarious.
So I immediately realized that what I really was passionate about was live audio, getting it
Okay.
right one time, the first time. And if you mess it up, oh well, next show, well, maybe we'll get it right next
Yeah.
time. So I switched my major over to show production and touring. And then
Hmm.
that's what I ended up majoring from Full Sail, show production and touring. And I
Did that
specialized
did,
in
did that
audio.
moment click when you were in the studio? Oh, hello.
Really? You want to be a part of this too? Is that what's going on? Yeah.
Hello.
Riley is
Riley.
she's very vocal. Yeah. She likes you to pet her, and if you stop petting her, she will let you know.
Oh, I'll keep this pet going.
That's it.
So,
So
did you have that moment when you're in the studio for 8 hours, kind of going over the one? You're like, I'm switching my like. What made you want to switch to that one? Was it mainly because of just the process?
it was the people in that room, the process of going over that same song repetitively, like just 8 hours of like trying to record one song. The
Yeah.
artist just couldn't get it right. I was like, I don't think I have the patience for this.
That's funny.
Like I have the patience for a very few things in life.
Yeah.
I didn't have the patience for that. I
Because
just,
I know so many people who were like being a musician myself in the studio, and that's part of the creative process too, where some people just love, and it's like problems like we feel like we're getting closer. Yes, we feel like we're getting closer and
Riley.
closer. And
come here, mama. Do you want me to give you a cookie? Is that what's going on? Do you want a cookie?
you want a cookie?
I don't know. Let me go get her.
Yeah, you want a cookie? Let me go get you a cookie. Go get a cookie. Where's he going? Where's he going? Go get him. How old's Riley? 15. 15 and looking good. That's too funny. What is she? Is she mixed with
She's a pound puppy.
a pound puppy?
Yeah, I rescued her from the pound in Miami
Oh, wow.
13 and a half years ago. And when I rescued her, they told me that she was about 2 years old. So, but I've had her for about 13 and a half years. So, yeah, she's about 15.
Yeah.
She's an old lady. She had a sister who was also 15, who unfortunately passed away a few months ago. That's her on the shelf over there in the box. There's a little box on the shelf that says Stella with her collar right above
Oh, I
it.
see it.
Yeah,
Beautiful collar.
yeah.
Man.
That just happened like maybe 5-6 months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, but she was with me also for I rescued them both 3 months apart from each other.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, so
Did they go to Full Sail with? I'm trying to put the timeline together.
no, Full Sail was 24 years ago.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So Full Sail was in 2000, 2002, 2000 to 2002.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a long time ago. I graduated high school in 2000. So 42.
Got 2013.
Yeah,
Close.
a little different.
A little bit different. But so you switch your major to kind of live audio.
Yep, I went over to show production and touring, and I was hooked. I mean, for me, I loved going to concerts. I loved live sound. I love going to like these local rock shows, and I realized that that was the feeling that I was chasing. I was chasing that being in front of the audience, but not being the talent, just being behind the curtain, right, and helping execute that performance.
Yeah.
But from behind the curtain.
Right.
Right. So, and I love listening to really good musicians. So anytime, you hear like, it doesn't even have to be music that I like. I can just really appreciate a talented musician.
There's something special, even more today. I mean, even what we've went through with COVID of just social distancing, live shows being canceled and stuff too, then just live events are back stronger than ever now. And there's just so much magic in there too. So that's why I thought the comparison was funny that you mentioned, where it's just like, if we can capture this good once, and if not, we're still moving on to the next one. There's something magical about that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It puts a little bit of pressure on you,
Yeah, but it's a little fire under your ass.
but
though,
it's
where dope.
yeah, it's kind of good. It almost like it makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it must feel like to be on stage and be the talent. That's totally a whole nother level of that.
It's have you ever played on stage? Because I mean, I see some guitars behind you.
Yeah, but that's just for fun.
Yeah.
I've never played on stage. I think in 8th grade, I was in a band in 8th grade, and I played Hotel California in front of like my 8th grade class, but that was about it.
I mean, dude, even at that point, there's something that's a little bit more like terrifying playing in front of your peers than just kind of multiply that by 5 in front of 1,000 strangers.
Yeah. No, I know you play in front of the crowds, and I don't know if I have that in me.
And until I see like 4 of my friends that I actually know coming, I'm like, shit. Now I'm kind of like shelling up a little bit. Or if I see like 4 musicians that come by that I really respect and good, or I'm like, all right, now let me just put a little arpeggiated scale right here. Ooh, a little flavor, I know what I'm doing. Exactly. Barely, not really. But so with Full Sail and audio engineering, did you have to learn anything that was kind of like outside the box? That being your major? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the major was actually show production. So it wasn't necessarily being behind the console mixing a live band. It was the entire production. So I learned about stage work. I learned about lighting, intelligent lighting. I learned about all kinds of stuff that even just touring, even just like having a writer for a talent, and entertainment business and law. Everything that involved the entire show production, I learned about at Full Sail. But this was this was 2001 when I was in that program. So it was a long time ago. And I know that school has evolved tremendously.
That school is like a flagship to
Yeah.
and I know a handful of people and friends that have went there, and they have very good careers into the space that they actually studied in school for too, but also just the amount of networking too that's in that school. I bet you probably met some really interesting cats there.
I did. And then one of the guys that worked there in one of my labs also used to work for Carnival Cruise Lines, and he would sort of keep his eye out for students that were going through the program that were about to
dope.
graduate to see if any of them wanted to work for Carnival, because they helped you with job placement as well. I mean, they had a whole department for that,
Yeah.
but this one particular lab instructor was really good friends with the guy who was in charge. He was the entertainment manager at Carnival Cruise Lines, and he would hire backstage managers. He would hire, lounge managers or lounge engineers, and he would hire sound engineers. So that's how I got tied into my first career job, which was working for Carnival Cruise Lines as a sound tech.
So right out of college, went right into a job.
I actually got that job 2 weeks before I graduated.
That's dope.
And as soon as I graduated, actually right after the graduation ceremony, I had my bags packed and took off on my first ship.
Damn.
Yeah.
So living on the cruise.
Living on a cruise ship. I did that for, I think, 5, almost 6 years. Yeah.
So how was that process from like day one?
Oh my
You're
God.
you're 18 when you first graduated
I was
college, or
20.
20.
Yeah, I was
20,
20.
yeah.
I
So-
wasn't even old enough to drink yet.
Yeah.
And I started on my first ship with Carnival Cruise Lines. I was 9 months on my first contract. I was based out of Puerto Rico, San Juan, and I was going to 5 different ports through the Caribbean. It was a dream. I was getting paid to travel through the Caribbean and work my dream job and travel, and it was all on the company dime. It was amazing. The most amazing experience. I mean, I'm going to recommend it to my kids when they're at that age and be like, absolutely, go do this for at least a year to get that experience, because I got to travel so much in those 5-ish years.
That is the best of both worlds, between just work experience, hands-on work experience too, not just kind of the other BS that goes with it, but then also being able to travel and see the world a little bit, and the amount of different personalities and people you probably met
Oh my
on a
gosh.
cruise.
All over I was probably one of the only Americans on board.
Really?
Yeah, all of my fellow employees and everybody that I worked with was from Australia, from England, or from some Western European country. It's some countries I had never heard of at the time.
That's wild.
I mean, I was only 20. I get that maybe I should have already known where Macedonia was, but at the time I didn't know where Macedonia was.
I don't know where Macedonia is.
I was like, Malta? Where the hell's Malta? You're from Malta? I didn't even know that it was a country. There was so many things that I learned, and so many people that I met from all over the world. It was a hell of an experience. I don't regret a moment of it, because it was absolutely amazing. All the different places I got to see, and the experiences and the people that I got to meet.
So how are some of the shows, kind of the work process? Like, even like what would the day-to-day work life be kind of on the cruise?
Well, in the beginning, it was actually really easy for me, because I was the audio engineer that only mixed the live shows that happened at night while we were at sea. So while the ship is in port, I didn't really have anything to do. So while we were in port, I was a tourist just like everybody else on board. So I'd just get off on the island and I'd walk around and do all the same things that everybody else
they
was
didn't
doing.
give you like little jobs to do or anything like that. They're like, here's your one job. It's eventually going to come. That's great.
That's it,
Wow.
because then on ships there's 3 different types of employees. There's crew, there's staff, and then there's officers. Crew, they get all those little odds and end jobs throughout the day. They basically make them work like 12 to 16-hour days. They work like crazy hours, and they're usually from like third world countries.
Yeah.
The staff, they usually work alongside and with the guests that are on board, right? So you're hanging out in guest areas, in uniform with a name tag and everything, but you're able to talk to guests, you're able to mingle with them, hang out at the nightclub, hang out at the bars, and as long as you're because you're presentable, you speak English,
Right.
all these little things that
It
they
probably
give
gives
out.
like the better experience too,
Sure.
I would imagine.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's what I was staff. So as staff, and my job, because I was hired for this one specific job, I didn't really have any other little responsibilities during the day. So I can just kind of hang out on the islands and act like a tourist, just like everybody else. And then once we were back on board and the ship was sailing, then I'd have to go to work. And I'd only work like 2 or 3 hours a night, and that was it. So it was really easy.
Yeah.
I'd work the shows. Shows were over. Okay. And unless there was any maintenance that I had to do to the system, I really didn't have anything else to do.
Honestly, you sound very mature and level-headed for a 20-year-old,
20-year-old.
fresh out of college,
Yep.
first experience with kind of a career job, and all this free time in the
Yes.
open seas. Good Lord, I would imagine I'd just be fine, like trouble finding meats, finding trouble sort of thing. So
Yeah.
how were you able to kind of stay disciplined in certain times to a certain extent?
Yeah, I mean, I did my job.
Yeah, you did your job.
I
Yeah.
did my job. Was I disciplined when I wasn't doing my job? No, probably not.
Having some fun, yeah.
I was having a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So they have crew bars on board just for the crew, and a beer was $1.75, a shot was $1, pack of cigarettes was $2, and back then I was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have a lot of fun with like $20
Yeah. Oh my
in
gosh,
an
I would
evening
imagine.
easily. So yeah, there was a lot of fun had, but it was great. I loved it. Everything, the experience was amazing. After I think 2.5 or 3 years as just a regular sound tech, I was promoted, and then I became what they called a senior tech. I kind of piloted this program where we were a senior technician on board that was in charge of the other technicians. So we didn't really have an onboard supervisor. Our supervisor was back in Miami. So as a senior technician, you were now in charge of all the other technicians and making sure that they were up on their maintenance for their systems, because we have a lighting system, we have a whole lighting grid, we had a whole staging system. Like there was a lot of stuff that did need maintenance. For the most part, everybody did it on their own, but with a senior tech on board, you were now like your onboard supervisor.
So I mean, to kind of put like a hierarchy to it, so you're
Yes.
kind of really like the tipping point that you like oversees everything. I guess the project manager.
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah. And then I did that for a little less than a year, and then I got promoted to fleet supervisor. I think it was fleet supervisor, fleet coordinator. I forget what they called it, but I was in charge of the 11 largest ships in the fleet for their audio systems.
So
it was
from being charged from one ship and one crew to now 11.
11 ships. Yeah. Now, I oversaw the other technicians that were on board. So I lived out of a suitcase. The last 2 years that I worked there, I was flying from port to port, ship to ship, spending no more than like 3 to 5 days on every ship.
Was that ever taxing on your body or
Very
your
much.
mind too?
Very
Just
much.
like that sounds sick. I got to experience that in some facets and whatever, but then it got to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm kind of tired.
Essentially why I sort of
Transitioned out.
transitioned out eventually, because I was living out of a suitcase those last 2 years, traveling all over. It was amazing. Don't regret it at all. However, my last real big project that I did was I took out one of the newer ships in the fleet. I went to Italy, spent like 2.5, almost 3 months in Italy at the shipyard, and just like walking around and building out this new system for this brand new ship. And then after that was done, not long after I left, mostly because I wanted to start into a whole new career. So I got really tired of living out of a suitcase. That was essentially what it was. I couldn't have like a normal relationship in my life. Everybody I saw, I would like see them for a few days and then I'd move on to the next ship.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't even have any sort of stable relationship in my life, and I was missing that. So my brother-in-law at the time was he was a firefighter in Miami-Dade. And one of the times that I was in town in Miami, he invited me to take a ride on his fire truck. I knew nothing about this whole world of firefighting. And I went for a ride on his fire truck, and I was like instantly hooked. I was like, you get paid to do this. This is amazing. Like, this is amazing. I loved it. I was like, I wish I knew that I liked this when I was 18.
But from the transition from not like just how taxing it is and traveling and the relationships, living out of the suitcase. So what made you want to just completely change careers rather than just like, I want to find a different job in this career instead that's not on a ship?
So I did try that first. Mostly, if what I found was that if you wanted to be successful in that world, you did have to travel.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be either on tour with a good band or like what I was
Especially
doing.
at that time.
Yeah, at that time, it was like if you were not on tour, then you're working at a venue. And if you're working at a venue, I mean, I did apply to some venues that were local to Miami. I just wasn't feeling it. It just wasn't something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
There was a theater on Lincoln Road in Miami Beach called the Lincoln Theater.
Okay.
And I actually was extended a position there. And I turned it down because I was like, I don't think this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
It was mostly just orchestras that played there anyways, and there was like, they weren't even individually mic'd. It was mostly just like a piezo mic like on the wall,
Really?
or something. And it was like, you're not really mixing anything. You're just making sure the volume's
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So it just, nothing really called my attention, and I felt like I needed a shift.
Dude, good for you for that, because I know so many people who almost feel so married and tied down to something that they put all this time into college and education, and then they actually have like experience in the career, and they're like, well, I can't just leave this thing that is my part of my identity a little bit too. So I mean, it's almost like having a new identity a little bit and within a whole new career.
Well, I'm sure my parents would have preferred that I stayed in the career because since they paid a lot of money for my full sail
Yeah.
education, I'm sure they would have preferred that I stayed in that field.
Well, for you to
However,
have your own discernment
yeah,
of what you wanted out of life,
yeah.
that's huge.
When my brother-in-law took me on that ride on his fire truck, I was just like, oh, this is it. This is awesome. I signed up for EMT school right after that. EMT school. I went to paramedic school after that. I went to fire inspector school. I went to the fire academy. I did all this schooling over a period of 2 years while living at home, just full time at
Dude, you
school.
got major discipline.
Yeah, like I
Damn.
just dove deep into this thing.
Yeah.
And then I did anything I could to get my foot in the door. So I was just applying for everything. I was an ER tech. Since I was a medic, I was an ER tech at Baptist Hospital in Miami. I was another ER tech at Jackson Memorial Hospital in downtown Miami. I was ocean rescue lifeguard for Miami-Dade Fire Rescue for a year. And then I became a fire inspector for Miami-Dade Fire Rescue for 6 years, about 6 years. Yeah. Long enough to be vested in my pension. And somewhere in the midst of all that, being a fire inspector, is when I started my business. So at the time, I had met my son's mother, and we got engaged really quickly, and we wanted to get married in Miami, and there wasn't a company that provided furniture that we wanted, like the type of furniture that we wanted for our wedding. So we just decided to do it ourselves. So we wanted vintage furniture for our wedding. This is 2010.
That's so cool.
I know. And in California, it was a thing. Like
Yeah.
there was a couple of companies in California that was doing this, but nobody in
Everything
Florida.
cool starts in
Yeah,
California.
it was always
first,
starting.
and then there's
yeah,
a wave, and then Florida's the
yes,
last to get hit.
100%. Nobody in Florida was doing it, but it was happening on the West Coast. So we decided to do it ourselves. We just like we would for fun on the weekends we would go to like thrift stores or estate sales, and we would like buy random pieces of furniture and be like, oh, that's gonna be
So
perfect.
did you always know you wanted to start your own business,
No.
or that just boom, boom, light bulb moment, and you're just like, go?
That just happened, just like that. We didn't even think it was going to be a business yet. At this
Yeah.
point, we were just doing it for our own wedding.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the planning of the
That's
wedding
the best part.
is when we realized it was going to be something that other people were going to like. Hey, this is more people are going to want this. We should figure out how to make more money off of this instead of just doing it for ourselves. So we said, maybe we can rent this stuff out to other people. Maybe other people are going to pay for this. And sure enough, we had our first client after our wedding, like a month after our wedding. And then in that first year of business, which we had no money, by the way, like we started this business with nothing but a credit card. We paid off all our debt in 1 year.
Amazing.
We had enough clientele in that first year and enough like traction and enough just everybody had such a positive reaction to what we were doing. They were like, I want it.
Wow.
Whether for a photo shoot or a birthday party or whatever, they just want that stuff. And then my parents owned a warehouse. We would store it all there. And we started to see clients on the weekends in my parents' warehouse until we made enough money that I could move into a 2,000 square foot warehouse in Wynwood where I lived. I actually built out an apartment inside the warehouse, and I moved into this little tiny 20 by 20 room with my wife at the time, and we would have the rest of the warehouse was all of our furniture that we were renting out to people. Did that for about a year. Then we moved into a larger warehouse. I think it was a 4,500 square foot warehouse in the Birdwood Art District in Miami.
Wow. So you're really scaling within
Yeah,
the year.
we every year we moved into a bigger warehouse. That's how it was almost like a J curve. It was insane. The growth of our business.
J curve. Yeah. Wow.
It was just like went right up.
What was it called?
Unearthed Vintage. At the beginning of the company, it was called Unearthed Vintage. But
What are the
over
names?
the years, we realized we weren't going to just stick to vintage furniture. It started to get a little bit played out.
Yeah.
and people were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, even the years got to
Yeah.
evolve.
Everybody's seen mason jars and burlap table runners, you know. It's like, okay, eventually you got to start breaking out into other aspects. So we changed the name to Unearthed Rentals. And we were in business for almost 10 years before we sold the company. It's still in operation right now.
Oh,
It's-
very cool.
Yeah. Jade actually bought our company right during COVID. So that's when we sold the company in 2020 and sold the house and sold everything that we had in Miami and moved up here to Jupiter.
So what made you pick Jupiter?
So my sister moved here like 15-ish years ago, and I've been visiting her for the years, over the years, and just always, every time I came here, I was like, man, I love this town. This is such a to me, this is small town, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You ask some people that have grown up here, or even some locals that just, they don't think that this is a small town. I grew up in Miami. You know, in Miami, it was so much bigger than here. So for me, this is small town living, and I love it. That's why I wanted to live up here. I have 2 little boys, so I wanted them to grow up in a small town.
Yeah.
So coming up here, I always said, one day if I ever sell this company, because that kind of had me married and tied down to Miami, as soon as I sell this company, we're moving up here. And it's exactly what we did. Moved up here in 2020. And yeah, and then so much has changed since 2020.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh my
that
gosh.
changed everybody's lives, right?
Did you move up here pre-pandemic or post?
Post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like August 2020.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I still owned the company at the end, or like I still owned the company, but we were like basically selling off office furniture, trying to sell off as much as we could, but the company itself sold around the end of 2020, early 2021. And yeah, and then I sort of took like about a 2-year break from doing anything at all. It was a very
Was that
confusing
planned,
time.
or is it just kind of happened with COVID? I mean, I know a lot of people took it disengaged or rearranged, to say the least,
Yeah.
during that time. But I mean, with you, it kind of sounded like that you had success here, you had an opportunity here, and then brought your family here,
Yeah.
and then now just kind of it's almost like yeah. I mean, dude, coming from audio background to entrepreneurial with a niche, a really good niche too, to now what's the next chapter after during your break?
Yeah. It was almost like a miniature retirement, to be honest. 2020 was a very strange year. Obviously, everybody had some very strange moments in
Yeah.
2020. It completely changed my life. It reshaped everything, every aspect of my life. And at the end, coming out of that whole pandemic era, ended up divorced and living on my own, sharing custody with my 2 little boys, and the only thing that I never stopped doing was fitness, right? The gym was my life. And that was like my only place to escape from all the changes that were happening,
Yeah.
and everything that was happening that was negative in the world. It was like, as long as I keep focusing on my fitness, I'm going to feel at least like I have some sense of a hold on reality and a hold on what's going on in my life.
Some control that you have too. Yeah.
Something that I can control, that nobody can get in the way of, right?
Did you always have a relationship with fitness kind of growing up, or did you find that during your time with firefighting?
Yeah, it actually started probably around 2008. That was probably when I really started like dedicating my life, my time, my free time to fitness. 2008, 2009, like I had already left Carnival. I was in paramedic school. I knew I wanted to be a firefighter. I was definitely focusing on fitness back then. And that's when I started. And then I never stopped, really.
Yeah.
When my business ramped up in 2013, 14, my business was really ramping up. I had a day job working for the fire department. And then every other spare moment that I had, I focused on the business. Fitness kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
For about a period of 3 or 4 years. There's a picture of me. I had just gone spearfishing with my father. I'm on my boat, and I'll never forget. It was the moment when I saw that photo. I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I've let myself go."
What have you? Well,
Oh yeah, I have a picture, and I'll show it to you. And I'm just,
Dude.
you're gonna see it, and you're gonna be like, "What?" It's my father, like in a skin suit, right? He had just gotten out of the water.
Yeah.
We got like our spear guns next to us, and there's a bunch of fish and lobsters on the boat, on the deck of the boat. And you just look at me, and I'm like, it looks like I hadn't seen a gym a day in my life,
God,
right?
that's too funny.
It was like a period of 3 years where I was just so focused on what I was doing for work that I just let fitness go to the side. And that's when I said, nope, got to get back into it. So that was probably, 2014-ish, and I haven't stopped since. So that was just a passion of mine, just staying in fit. I love being in fit. I love being in the gym. I was there 5-6 days a week.
I was gonna say, what kind of fitness is from just athletic movement, just weight training? I mean,
To be honest, for the most part, it was always sort of like a bodybuilding split. I just loved being in the gym,
Yeah.
pushing heavy weights, like lifting heavy weights, pushing heavy weights, and mostly like a bodybuilder's split. Like nothing really athletic. I wasn't really into any sports or anything like that. I just liked pushing weight.
Yeah.
That's it. And I loved it. And I still do. And that's essentially what I still do even today. I have added more functional movement into my training, but I still love just pushing weight.
Yeah, there's something special about it. I mean, 'cause I was the same way through my fitness journey of just played soccer all through high school, kind of learned the conditioning that kind of goes with it, the amount of running that I've always hated to a certain point.
So you
And
do it, but you're good at it though.
now I am because it's free therapy at this point. So got to get it while you can. But then I mean, as kind of what you're saying too, just over time, as like when you grow up and evolve, and you go from this career and that career, and your life changes so much, you got to kind of find the time, or not even find the time, you got to make the time to really have that relationship and keep it what's valuable in your life. And definitely fitness has been one thing for me for sure since I was in high school, like training, like on season, then off season I would just go in the weight room with my brother and my dad, and then I would go back to the season. My coaches would be like, you're just doing beach workouts, you're not really doing what we're doing. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll figure it out. But then even after that too, like after my soccer season, like senior year ended, that's when I just got a Gold's Gym membership. And then we just kind of fell in love with just like chasing weights, chasing numbers, and kind of the whole powerlifting, bodybuilding thing too. And then that kind of, I feel like you kind of plateau a little bit too. And I kind of was. And then I went into CrossFit, did CrossFit for a little bit. And then I fell in love with like the Olympic weightlifting with the cleans and the snatches were fun. And then, yeah, now kind of like almost like on a hybrid athlete kick. But now it's like, yeah, 20 now, but you get older, you kind of realize the value in functional movements.
Yep.
And then just kind of like what everyone's body's so uniquely different, so like what feels good may work for me, may not work for you. But also it's just there's so much creativity in fitness. It's really funny. Like, I mean, Carnival Cruise, traveling around as much as you were, you probably look at certain gyms and like hotels or whatever. It's what can I make out of this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wish I was more focused on my fitness back in the carnival days, but I was more focused on drinking than anything else.
Okay, yeah, when I was powerlifting too, I was kind of more focused on drinking too. So it's just like, I wasn't fat, but I was like really big. I mean, dude, my biggest, I was 233.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. I'll have to show you pictures.
That's pretty big.
But I could squat 415 like no one's business. Twice, though. I'm not gonna do that for reps.
I wish. I'm not there yet. I think the heaviest I ever got to was 212.
Dude, you're pulling weight with your deadlift.
My deadlift PR right now is 475.
Ooh.
But squatting 415 would be ideal.
Yeah, that's like me screaming, shaking. That person spotting that side, that spot. 1-2 going 90. I'm happy, getting it done. But no, I mean just like with everything too, just like time. Everything goes differently. You just kind of find different relationships with certain things, and that's kind of with me. Yeah, with my I can easily relate to with what you're saying. Getting so busy, occupied here too. That's why I'm like, I need to just move my body and expel whatever I have, all this kind of just pent up energy in here and here. So I found something during running. I mean, I think it was really during the pandemic that really sparked it, where gyms. I mean, Florida's its own beast, so it was closed, whatever you want to kind of say. But that's what I was kind of just figuring out, like running a little bit, something my wife and I kind of do together. And then my brother is just a wicked athlete, so being able to kind of, he's my little brother too, so being able to kind of see him run and do what he does, I'm like, man, I can't let that happen. So it's almost kind of like the mental games that you play to kind of keep going forward with it too. 100%. But
friendly competition.
Yeah, friendly competition. Exactly. Yeah, anything to pull inspiration to motivate you.
100%.
Exactly.
I get motivated when I watch, videos of Colin putting 315 for like, sets of like 8. And I'm like, what? I can barely do 315 twice. And I see him doing it. And I'm like, but that inspires me to go back to the gym and be like, okay, that's it, man. I'm going to be squatting twice this week. I'm going to squat twice next week. That's it. I got to get these numbers up. Of course.
Well, dude, I mean, even that's like the whole, let me get that ground there. Hey, like filming content for like fitness stuff too, where it's funny where like I see people film stuff and it's almost like their accountability within themselves too, or if it's stuff that just like they share with friends and do all that. So I've seen you, like the stuff that you share, it's awesome.
Thank you.
So now that you are a trainer,
I'm a personal trainer now. So this is essentially, I think it was late last year or maybe like mid last year, I realized, I was like, okay, I had a couple of years there where I almost don't even want to like even
sabbatical.
Yeah,
if you call
I
it
don't even want to revisit that time in my life. It was definitely the darkest time of my life. It was a very, there was some good things that came out of it. All right. Some really great things that came out of it. I'm in an amazing relationship right now with a girl that I've known since high school.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I reconnected with somebody that I've known since I was 16 years old that I lost contact with for a solid, I don't know, 15 years. Didn't even like no contact
Yeah.
whatsoever. I was married and she was married and I had kids and she had a child. And then it just so happens that my divorce and her divorce happened almost at the same time. Like my divorce happened first, hers was shortly after, and it just worked out. We reconnected, and now we're dating, and it's like 25 years later. So there are some great things that came out of it.
Yeah.
There was some really dark times during that, and I couldn't quite focus on what I wanted to do with myself. I knew that I wanted to start another business. I knew that I want to work for myself. I feel like I'm a serial entrepreneur. I definitely would like to start another company. I just didn't have the headspace for it. I didn't have I wasn't creating the space for myself to do that and to feel that and to just feel like, okay, this is where you got to be and you're going to focus yourself on this and your energy on this. I didn't have the discipline for it. So I felt like I needed to do something that I came almost easy to me, like almost just like natural to me. And that was fitness. For me, fitness was like, it's second nature. Okay, I'm going to get my personal trainer certificate just because I literally took my personal trainer course while I was working out. I'd be at the gym.
That's awesome. Were you doing it on your phone?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The NASM certified, like I was taking NASM courses like with my headphones in at the gym, in between sets, answering questions, like on my phone. I did it while working out. It took me like 3 months. And then took the test, started looking for jobs in the fitness industry. Stretch Lab just kind of like fell on my lap. It was something that I saw in Indeed. I saw the ad. I had never even thought of it. And I actually always thought I was a very flexible person.
Yeah.
And I do like to stretch, but I never thought of doing it for a living.
I never thought of it as a concept until it was from you,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. And when I found it, I was like, huh, this actually looks really interesting. I applied and they responded immediately. At the same time, I also applied at Palm Beach Sports Club. They actually didn't see my application. And I felt like they had seen it and they just didn't want me or something. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not good enough to work here. So I'll just keep going as a gym goer.
Yeah.
But I got hired at Stretch Lab. They immediately sent me off to a weekend course to go get trained and go get certified as a flexologist, and came back. And I love the job and I love the owners of my franchise. The owners are amazing people, incredibly intelligent. They inspire me because I see myself in them, and I don't know if they see themselves in me, but they are 1,000 times smarter than I'll ever be.
That's a great relationship. What did you see during that seminar when they kind of sent you off to kind of get up to speed?
Well,
I would imagine stuff within the company culture, but like I didn't know
Yes.
if there's anything particular that you could share as far as like with
I had some one-on-one conversations with the owners where I loved the way that their thought process worked. And it reminded me of how I used to think when I was in my business. I had lost that feeling for a couple of years because of the times that I was going through, but they sort of like invigorated me to start thinking that way again. And they also kind of gave me the reins to sort of run with it. And they're like, you want to do that? Go, yes, do that. And they sort of pushed me
That's
like,
awesome.
oh, absolutely. Here's the keys. Like, please do this. And I love that because they trusted me, and I don't take that lightly. I love that they trust me, and I love working with them, and I love working for them. I never know where this is going to lead. Maybe one day, I never put a cap on it. I
Yeah.
always think I just can keep moving up. And that's how I was even with my business. I was never satisfied with where I was. I always wanted to keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. What's the next best thing? So, and that's how I feel at Stretch Lab as well. I love it. I love working there. Shortly after I got hired with Stretch Lab, the general manager over
They
at Palm Beach
called
Sports
you?
Club, she was like, I just saw that you applied. And I was like, I applied like 3 months ago. You guys just never saw it. They're like, you should have told us. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought you didn't like me. I don't know. Turns out they had just never seen it. They overlooked it. They gave me the job. And now I work at both places. So I'm a personal trainer at Palm Beach Sports Club. And I'm also actually now lead flexologist at Stretch Lab. I got promoted soon after getting hired there, which is great. I love it. I love the extra responsibility. I love being able to help push the narrative and push that concept to
Do you
our
think
community.
having a business yourself and being a business owner in the past has kind of helped given you skills to kind of be in the leader position you are now?
100%. 100%. Yes, managing a small business, working with employees, helping them grow, recruiting, onboarding, all of that was essentially what my role was in my own business. So doing that with my new with Stretch Lab
Mhm.
with my new business owners, I love it. It just I fell right back into what I used to do, just doing it ever so slightly
It
different.
helps just being around like-minded individuals
Yes.
and just like a nurturing
Yes.
community, not a freaking like I don't even know how to appropriately say it though, but just like blowing smoke under everyone's butt sort of thing. But it's just more of just like everyone kind of working towards the same goal and everyone
That's
kind
it.
of putting in effort themselves individually.
Yep.
So yeah, that was cool.
There's little things that it takes to run a business, right? And there is a certain mindset that it does take. And I know what that mindset is because I've done it before. It's not an employee mindset.
No.
It's totally different. And it's funny because I have some friends and sometimes even like my girlfriend will tell me that, she's like, why are you doing that? You're not on the clock right now. You know that you're an hourly paid employee. And I'm like, yeah, but that's just not how I work. That's not
Yeah.
how I operate, right? Like, I'm either doing something for Stretch Lab on my phone or on my computer, even when I'm not on the clock. And that's because I don't operate like an hourly paid employee, even though technically I am. And I do make commission. However, it's just totally different. I just don't operate that way. And I don't intend to be an hourly paid employee
Hmm.
for long either.
Yeah.
That's definitely not how I see myself in the years to
But you
come.
you know yourself better than anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I can always relate to myself when I was in school and was in college. I knew the extra work I had to do in order for me to kind of just get it a little bit or
Hmm.
really feel kind of like connected to a subject. I know it's kind of different when we're talking about like a career and
Right.
stuff too, but or even it's just like with my business when I'm working with a client and stuff too. I know that like these particular things that the work that needs it's really the work that needs to be done. That is you see it sitting in front of you. You have like your time in your window where it's just like, yes, I can do it right now, so I'm gonna do it right now. I don't need it's like I like integrity. I mean, I don't need somebody to look at me to do the right thing or the wrong thing. I know what to do, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. And you're very inspiring, by the way.
Who?
You.
Oh no.
Yes, you are.
Oh God, no.
I had a conversation actually with my sister. I don't know how long ago, maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago. She's like, who's this Jacob Tacos guy? And I was, I was like, why do you ask? She's like, I see him everywhere. I'm like, where do you see him? She's like, I saw him in a magazine. I saw him in a book. I see him and he pops up in my ads on Instagram. And I'm just like, well, he's kind of a jack of all trades. He does a lot of things. And then I showed up that there's this like, tell me about that book. That was that book that you, I think you took all the photographs
Oh,
for,
the
right?
yeah, the 111 places in Palm Beach. Yeah,
That one.
yeah.
Did you take all the photographs for that?
All of them except two.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah,
pretty much all of the photographs.
because the Boca Resort and the Breakers, they're like they said like if we want to be featured in this book, these are the approved
Oh,
photos that
sure.
represents us. And again, you understand
That makes
business.
sense.
I understand business.
Yeah.
If you there's a certain level to
Yeah.
it where it's just like yeah, no, whatever doesn't matter. And especially there's a the fourth version's coming out soon of the book. It got approved for the fourth version. There's three out now, but the original version, which has the Breakers and Boca Resort, it was all shot during the pandemic
Oh, wow.
when everything was closed. Like production was still going on. So yeah, a lot of it was tough. But yeah, no, it's the 111 places Palm Beach book.
I saw what I saw in you was it was inspiring to me as well because I
Mhm.
was like, this guy's hustling. This guy's out there. He's playing at cafes by
Yeah.
himself, but he's also in a band. He's recording. He's doing videos. He's doing marketing. He's like all over the place. Anywhere he can get out there and just contribute. And it was pretty much local. I mean, everything you're doing is within the confines of Palm Beach County for the most part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that you do all this stuff and you focus on your community. To me, that was inspiring.
Yeah. Community is everything for sure.
Yes.
I appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's yeah, it's I mean it's one of those things. I mean that's why I kind of like, even like you sharing a little bit of your story, I can easily relate to it. Where it's like you like this thing and you like almost like the creative spark that kind of comes in your head that just lights up your whole brain, and you kind of have a little bit more clarity, and you're like, oh my gosh, I know what to do now.
Yeah.
A little bit, and then and there's no one else to hold that back but yourself, so you go for it. And then that's why I always kind of give contribution and credit to like just the support system I have too. I mean, like I came from very like independently thoughtful parents that just more instill just think for yourself type mentality, and like this world's whatever you want to make out of it sort of thing. And then just having a wife and a partner that I've known since I was 15, 16 too.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, we've known each other since we've been dating since we're 16. Yeah, 15, 16. Yeah, yeah. And then got married in 2022, February 2022. 22.
Very recent.
Yeah, yeah. Love is patient, love is kind. So I've been told.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh yeah. But no, it's and it's very important to me to just kind of give homage, and I don't even know if I'm using that word correctly, but just to really
Is it homage? Or is it homage?
homage. I didn't finish college, but just to like show appreciation to like where you come from. I mean, no matter what, I'm born and raised in this town too, and it's something I can't change, and it's just some sort of love and appreciation. You probably feel that way about Miami to a certain extent.
There's
I mean,
a love-hate relationship. It's home
Okay.
will always be home, right? Home will always
I guess
be
that's
home.
what I'm really trying to say.
Yeah, home will always be home. I did leave Miami for a reason, and I have zero intention of ever going back. I left mostly because of my kids. I wanted my sons to grow up in a better place. And it's not that Miami's a bad place. It's just that it's a really big city. There's a lot of different types of people. And what I was noticing was that you'd come up here, and it didn't matter where you went, you could say hello to anybody on the street and they will wave back to you. You can go to any like grocery store and they'll be polite to you. I swear, I don't think I've heard anybody honk their horn at me on the streets of Jupiter in the 4 years that I've been living here. It's ridiculous. There's just like
Maybe I'm
such a-
driving differently than you are, because that's all I get.
there is such a well, maybe it's because it's relative to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
In Miami, the light turns green and you don't have but 0.2 seconds to start going, or else someone's honking the horn on you.
That's so.
It's ridiculous.
My mom's born in Miami,
Okay.
and she moved to Jupiter, kind of raised, and the same thing with my parents. But I went down to Miami with my family not too long ago.
Yeah.
But my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so different," and blah 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 blah. But I was the one driving, and as I merged onto 95. I didn't really cut the guy off, but it was kind of tight. The dude's laying on the horn, really laying on the horn. I see him kind of following me, and then just two middle fingers out.
Yeah.
And both my parents are like, "This is horrible," and I'm just like, "Yeah," I'm just like trying to just keep it together.
That's pretty normal. That's like
Yeah.
that's like a Tuesday.
Exactly,
That's normal in Miami.
But yeah, I'm used to Jupiter, and that's the thing. I mean, being born and raised here, and people I know that'll come visit here, and everyone talks about how it's such a slow paced town, slow paced this that, and I didn't realize that until I had the blessed opportunity to be able to travel because of my work, and just to be able to meet other people in other places.
Yep.
And coming back here, and I'm like, okay, I see a little bit now. So I mean, the fact that you were able to see so many different countries, people all around the world through Carnival, being in Miami, working in fire, and I mean that probably has a whole career of just stories itself from all the people that you've got to see. And now coming to little old Jupiter, which is not little old Jupiter anymore, but
To me, it's still little.
yeah,
I get that people that grew up here have seen it change so much in the last however many years, and they're like, it's nothing like what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I get that.
but that's like with anything.
You could say that about anything,
Yeah.
right? But to me, coming from Miami, this is a small town, and I love that. I absolutely love that. There's some downsides to it. Everybody knows everybody, and that has its pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
You know,
A little adult drama.
a little adult drama.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you do right by people and you're nice to everybody, which honestly, that's how I want to live my life. It may not be the way that I always lived my life, especially when I was in Miami. I mean, I don't want to say that I have regrets. I do wish that I could have handled certain relationships and certain situations differently when I was in Miami. Especially when I had my own business, even just with my employees. I mean, to this day, I have former employees that I'm friends with even on social media. And I've like reached out to them and like, I've always felt really bad about the way that things ended, or the way that, maybe I had to fire them from the company or whatever.
Right.
Like,
But
I wish
you've reached out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
wow,
I
okay.
like there are ways, there are things that I wish I could have handled differently. However, moving here, I have like completely focused on just making sure that I have good, positive relationships with the people that I meet here. I love watching my friends succeed. Like even just with Ethan, you know, meeting Ethan was there for me in a really dark time. And he helped just boost me up. And I'll never forget him for that. I'll never forget everybody that helped me through my darkest times. And those are the people that no matter what is happening in my life, I will always make sure that I'm there for them in any way possible. Because there's some things you just never forget. And when people help you out like that, when you're in a time of need, even when you're not, they're just helping you out because they want to help you out just out of the goodness of their heart. You just never forget that. So I've never forgotten the people that were there for me, and it has changed my perspective on life. And living here in this town, everybody that I have met, that I've become friends with, that I'm close with, I'm like, whatever you need, if I can help you, I will, 100%, and I expect nothing in return, because it's just, that's the way it should be. And that's the way I should have been even when I was in Miami. That's the way I should have been when I was running my company. And I wasn't. I had other influences in my life that maybe weren't the most positive, and I wish I could have seen that then, and I see it now. So I'm just glad that I'm able to learn from that and sort of redirect my focus here.
Dude, you sharing that with me, that really just kind of I flash back to moments of with myself too. And I remember those moments of people just like the littlest things of just a text message from someone I haven't heard in a long time because of just the things I've chose to like self isolate, or just the actions I've chose to just almost, I mean, I could look at it now and be like, really kind of give myself my own pity party, but like at that time didn't even really know like what was up from down. But from like the littlest actions of someone just kind of checking in and saying, hey man, I'm just going to say what's up sort of thing too.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, it's like, oh, I'm gonna call Jacob and say what's going on. But for me, it's like, dude, that means like more than you can even imagine. But it's stuff that like has carried on to me now, where I have a little bit more clarity in my life, where I'm like, dude, you just showed me like that much kindness. Like it's just it makes me want it gives that such a ripple effect a little bit too. I mean, I remember sitting in Hope Sound Social, and I was like working on something on my computer. And have you ever been in there?
No.
It's cool. It's cool. It's a great spot. They serve Pump House coffee too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's right off Bridge Road. I was sitting there working
Like
on
a shared workspace?
yeah, it's like a shared workspace. Yeah. So if you're ever, getting out of town and you're working on a laptop, it's a
Yep.
great little cafe to work in. But it's working. Saw a mother and daughter come in, and then the daughter's pointing like stuff that she wants and like pastries and this and that. And then I see like from the corner of my eye, she like opens her wallet and there's nothing in it. And I don't know why I saw that. I don't know if it's God who put like that angle of just to me. And then I perfectly make eye contact with the barista, and I'm like, I'm paying for her stuff. And she's just like, okay. And then she's just like, no, you're good. You're all covered. Because like she was about to say something. It's like, you're good. It's covered. She's like, what are you talking about? Who did it? And then pointing at me. But anyway, she's like, oh, thank you so much, whatever. And then they carried on, walked away. And the barista's like, did you know that person? I'm like, no. It's like, well, why would you do that? I'm like, honestly, I looked, just saw mom, daughter, empty wallet, honest accident sort of thing. And I'm like, and it's just like, well, it's like a $5 coffee, whatever, just to kind of do that and make that person's day. It's just, it's the ripple effect.
Truth is, you probably made more than just her day.
Maybe.
She may never forget that.
Yeah, like there's moments like that. Yeah, I remember. Like this actually comes up on my Facebook story too. I remember I was like, I don't have much money now, but I had no money back then. I remember even sneaking into Crunch Gym for like a long time, where they had like the buddy system, where my buddy was had like a membership where you can bring somebody in, and then he eventually went to the Air Force, and then I just same time like, yeah, he's coming. I'm gonna go stretch. Like, yeah, you're good, just sign. Yeah, whatever. Boom. But I remember I was like paying with my gas with like dollars, $5 and quarters, and then the person behind me like put $20 in for it. And I remember even that day, I'm like, people are so shitty. Everyone's selfish in this world, whatever. I have my own kind of like self-doubts and stuff too. And then that happened. And then I remember posting on Facebook of just like, as like my own reminder, but I like how Facebook memories have that thing that comes up, because I see that sometimes, and it's a nice little like almost like sort of confirmation for myself, or just kind of, well, I don't even know the particular word for it, but it was just a very nice reminder, and I'm glad I put that out for myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a great feeling. And I love that, like, I like to be of service, right? I've always loved to be of service. I mean, working in the hospitals, being a medic in the ER, it's literally what you're doing. You're of service to all these people that are in need. And working in Stretch Lab now, I feel like I am of service to all my clients. Even working in my business, at first it was focused primarily on weddings. That's really what my clients were, mostly just brides. I didn't even realize that there was a whole corporate aspect to this. So corporate events didn't even start to sort of weave their way into my clientele until like maybe 2 or 3 years into my business, when I started to get contacted by certain, corporate planners that were like, hey, Google or Apple or Bank of America is having their annual retreat for their top 500 executives at the Ritz-Carlton on South Beach, and we need you to furnish this banquet hall with your furniture. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And I didn't even know that that was going to be a whole thing. And then it turned out to being almost 50% of our revenue was corporate events,
Yeah.
which was amazing. I loved corporate. There was like no emotion involved. It was just, hey, this is what I need. This is my budget. What do you got? And I was like, perfect. Gave us free reign to design this whole look, and done. And it was amazing. I love those clients. It still felt like I was being of service, even though it was a corporate event. I still felt like I was being of service. Definitely to the brides.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's like you're there on their big day. They love it. There's a lot of emotion involved. But working in healthcare, being of service. Working now at Stretch Lab, working at Palm Beach Sports Club. I mean, right now I've got 3 clients at Palm Beach Sports Club that is a father, a mother, and a son. And I just saw like something in the father that made me think of my parents. And it made me think like I would want somebody to approach my parents in the same way that I approach them. Be like, I want to see you be there for your grandkids. I want to see you be there for your kids. And I want to see you like actually live a happy and like healthy life. I don't want to see you in pain when you don't need to be in pain, right? Because you don't have good eating habits, or you don't exercise, or you don't stay active, whatever it takes. The body's an amazing thing, and it can bounce back from a lot of things. And watching them, they were so young. These clients of mine, like the parents are in their 50s. They're not that old. And I love that they've come on now as my clients, and now I get to help them, and that makes me come home every day just going, I feel good about what I did today. I love this. Like I can rest I'm tired as hell when I get home because I work long hours, but I feel really good about what I do. And as long as I can continue to feel good about what I do and helping others, I'm going to be happy.
That holds so much weight. I mean, it's so cool and special that you're having like a family, like a unit.
Yeah.
That you're playing such an important role in that. And someone told me a while ago, the quote that stuck with me, I don't know if it was Gandhi or somebody else, but in order to find yourself, you must lose yourself in the service of others. And it's always kind of stuck with me, where I'm just kind of like, I know what I like in life. I know what I don't like, and I know kind of like my own personal boundaries and stuff, but I've always had to keep busy with like my hands and stuff too, but just to kind of help, just be a help. And I remember doing like having to do community service when like you're in middle school or 5th grade or something, just to kind of get those points and stuff. And I remember sitting around and just like, I was talking to my mom, where I'm just like, I just feel like I just don't know what to do. And I don't really feel like I don't know what to do or what to ask. And then just the simple question of like, is there anything I can do to help?
Yeah.
Just that, like, ask somebody who looks like they know what they're doing. Hey, is there anything I can do to help right now?
Yeah.
That will just take you so far in life.
Yeah.
That will meet you with so many people, but you have to authentically ask
100%.
that. Not, you have to be gravitated to do that, not grabbing towards something where like, I'm only doing this because I have my own selfish intentions behind.
Yeah.
Again, everyone's got something in it for themselves too, just the way the world and humans work, but just that one question of, is there anything I can do to help? So taking that early on, and then just through, I guess that really kind of molded a work ethic for me a little bit as well. But then later years of kind of like early college, like right out of high school, playing music and just dabbling with social media, I guess, and really kind of understanding more of just defining myself as just really just giving my all the time to people around me, because we all have 24 hours in a day. It's how we use it. It was the most important part.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because you said that was what brought on your work ethic, but it's not just your work ethic, it's your human ethic. It's just like your ethic in everything that you do on a daily basis, right? Not just work. Because there are certain things that I do for my friends and for the ones that work with me and the ones that I work for. And it doesn't matter. I treat them all the same. I am the same person, and I'm not going to treat somebody any less unless for whatever reason, like, I have something else going on there
Yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
we don't get along. But for the most part, I only keep people around in my life that I want in my life. I've learned that if they're not the right people in my life, then they're not the right people in my life, and they shouldn't be in your life. Only keep those around you that you want in your life, and that you can continue to be of service to them, and they can continue to be of service to you, and you guys are just together for a common cause, for a common goal. And it doesn't have to always be self-serving. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, this person brings me this. Like, no, like, I do it because I want to. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
there's certain things that I do for my boss, for my employees, for my friends, and I just do it because I want to. Like, it doesn't always have to be something in it for you. Sometimes you just do things and you do it because that's who you are. And then your ethics and your morals and your values, they show. And it's pretty easy, at least now at 42, for me to pick up on those who don't have those ethics and those morals and those values.
Yeah. Age being a factor, age not being a factor. I mean, the fact that you have done so many different careers
Yeah.
and seen the world
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
being around so many different people too.
Mm-hmm.
And then now just from like outside looking in, and you kind of talking about the human ethic of things, of just the integrity of treating everybody the same. And like, I mean, especially being in business as you were and
Yeah.
as you are,
Yeah.
you probably see it in certain ways where people like want to, but maybe like put themselves kind of in a business pedestal, so they have to feel like they have to talk to people a certain way and
Yeah.
act a certain way, or maybe to get a certain client, or maybe something that's certain like a high tier, they have to almost like play a little kiss ass game sort of thing. So it's interesting to kind of see. And I mean, especially you probably see so much more in these days. But
Yeah.
what I see with you mainly, it's just really cool, the level of a father that you are. So, I mean, it's just something I wanted to point out because it's so cool. I mean, I'm at the age now where everyone's having kids, or
Yeah.
everyone's now like really showcasing their family through social, because
Sure.
now it's just way more than what it was back then. But it's cool, man. It's really cool to see that you take your kids out to go paddleboarding and kind of the fun local spots around here too. And I still kind of see that like you're showing you're having fun, but there's still the level of private life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love my boys.
So as I guess a more of a direct question, showcasing you being a father on social media with kids, how do you dictate like what you want to share online and kind of don't share, of just having like a personal moment?
So I have a lot of family in Cuba and in other parts of Florida, and actually in other parts around the world and around the country, that love to see photographs of the kids, right? So a lot of times I'll post stuff about the kids, especially like in my stories, because I have so many family members that don't get to see them, not even once a year. Sometimes I don't see some of these family members for several years at a time. So they love to that's how they stay up to date on these kids, and they love it, right? Especially most of these people are retired, so that's all they're doing is
Yeah.
just following up on little cousins and little kids that are around in the family. I love sharing stuff about the boys because I know that the boys are always going to be able to look back on this, right? It's funny because my girlfriend tells me that in her personal life, her parents, or I guess her family, didn't really make it a point to take a lot of photographs when she was a child. So she doesn't have a whole lot of childhood photos. And myself, my sister, my father, not so much my mother, but for the most part, my father, myself, and my sister, we all have always loved to take photographs. And now with cell phones, it's like, what's stopping you? You can take
Yeah.
photographs all the time, right? I have tens of thousands of photos. My phone is always full. I literally have so many photos. I love taking photos of the kids, love taking photos of moments, because those are memories.
Yeah.
And those are things that the kids are going to want to look back on. And I love looking back on my childhood photos that my parents took. I mean, my dad still has an 8mm projector, reel to reel, like home
No
videos.
way.
And he still has the camera too.
That's sick.
Like, we can watch. I saw the video of when I was born that my father filmed on 8mm, and it's my mother holding me, and I actually did. I played it onto a bed sheet, and then I recorded it with my phone because I didn't
Yeah.
know how else to transfer it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess I could send this off to somebody, but I'm just going to do this really quick thing. And sure enough, I have the video of when I was born 42 years ago. that to me is so important to keep those memories and to record them. So I love recording memories with the kids. My boys, they're the world to me. I feel like I'm not missing a whole lot of things in life because I have them. With them in my life, I feel complete,
Yeah.
Anything else on top of that is just a bonus at this point, right? It's just an added, like, I have my girlfriend. I love my girlfriend and she has her daughter and we are together and it's an amazing unit that we have created. And, we're working towards a future together. With the boys, it's like, I don't know, it gives you some sort of level of like your life is complete and this is it. This is all you got. And I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just, it makes you feel complete. It makes you feel whole. It makes you feel like you're not missing anything in life. Anytime that I thought I was missing something, I was wrong. I have everything. I have everything I need. I mean, I come from a great family. I'm super lucky. I'm very grateful. My parents are amazing parents and they've always been amazing. They've given me everything I've ever needed. So anytime I needed them, they were there for me. My sister as well. I have an amazing relationship with my sister. Like, I don't come from a family where you're like estranged father or divorced
Right.
or any of that. Nothing. Like, literally, I have nothing negative to say about where I came from. I'm very, very lucky because I've learned that not a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all that's just that's the thing too. Like, I don't regret much in my life. I almost regret just being a shithead to my parents and my
Yes.
family.
Oh my God,
Looking back,
yes.
because I'm just like, I'm not a parent
I
or
was king
anything, but
shithead to my
yeah.
parents, by the way.
But I look back and just see that what they've done and do and continue to do. It's and especially, I don't know if it was the pandemic that had to do it, but it was almost maybe my own walk of life that had to kind of do it to really realize and appreciate what's important. There's so many things that are just try to tell myself, like, everything else that is not what I'm primarily focused on is just a distraction. I mean, it could be a healthy distraction or it can be a counterproductive distraction, but
Yeah.
there's a level of the word distraction
Yeah.
from taking me away from my goal and what really matters. That's why I remember starting to I moved out when I was like, I think 20. Um but I remember, like, my dad was really harping me on about, like, Sunday dinners, like, how important it is, and it's
Yeah.
just like I was just like missing a couple because I'm like, dude, I got this going on, that going on, whatever. And then he really laid into me one day, and it just like almost like someone just like punched me in my heart and then my brain and then like my throat at the same time. So it's just like,
So you guys do Sunday dinners
yeah,
now?
every Sunday, yeah, I go
That's
over there for
awesome.
dinner. Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
way
it's
to do
cool.
it.
And then now, I mean, even getting older now, where I'm like, dude, frick, yeah, you're making me dinner.
Oh,
Hell
yes.
yeah, I'm coming over.
Coming. What's for dinner?
Yeah, for real, and
Yeah.
it's cool. And then my brother and his new girlfriend's been over too. So mine, and then my wife was telling me that, like, my dad was sharing with her. It's just like how happy he is too sometimes with that. And it's just like, if I and it does, like, do like those little things, like, I
Yep.
mean, even like we're talking about, like, those little service of actions, like, if I know doing this means so much, but also means a lot to me too.
Yeah.
Like, what's holding me back? And it's
Yeah.
just like, again, 24 hours. Like, divide your time. What's really important in your life.
If my parents were here, because they're in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
they've been toying with the idea of coming up here ever since I moved up here, because now they realize that all their kids are up here
Yeah.
and all their grandkids are up here. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're ever going to actually do the move. They keep looking at properties and stuff like that, and they keep toying around with the idea, but they're retired. They're 70. They're kind of stuck in their old ways.
Yeah.
They do have a very comfortable lifestyle in Miami. So I get why they might be like a little weary to move up and change. That's a lot of change for somebody at 70.
Oh, of
So,
course.
but if they do ever come up here, that would be amazing, because that would be something that we would probably, instill as well as
I
weekly
remember
dinners at our house.
being super little, and like one of my first jobs when I was 10 years old, my dad bought me a lawnmower, and I'm like, why? He's like, you're gonna start mowing grandpa's lawn like once a week. And then I was doing that, and then he was taking me to all these other places and stuff too, but like just those times of going to see my grandparents
Yeah.
too. And yeah, a lot of my family's here, and then I didn't the stuff that you just didn't realize. I mean, there's friends I'm still friends with today since I was 5 years old that I went to like preschool with, that still live in this town too, that moved away, came back. But it's stuff that I like think about too, where I'm like, I didn't realize that how like special that is, really.
It's very special.
Even though I want to kill them sometimes, but sometimes it's with love.
It's so incredibly special. It's
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned that, because so one of my best friends, he's actually a former employee. He lives in Miami. He has the same thing. All of his friends, all of his best friends, his core group of friends, they've been friends with They've been friends with each other since elementary school. And in my own personal life, I'm like, I'm not friends with anybody from my elementary school. I'm not friends with anybody from junior high. I'm not friends with anybody from high school. Like, I had never stayed friends. I didn't cherish those friendships the way that I should have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my bad. That's totally on me. I should have cherished all those friendships, and I should have made space for them in my life, and I didn't. I didn't realize, right? I just didn't know.
But it's also wisdom that you have now,
Yeah.
and then you can share too. Where
Oh,
if,
yeah.
like you see a special relationship that's fun and valuable. I mean, yeah, one of my friends from elementary school got me into music. He showed me a guitar, a few chords. I picked up on it, and then he sold me his guitar at like a best friend price. It was an Ibanez Geo for $50 with a little amp, and then downhill from there.
But look at it now. It's literally part of your life. It's more than part of your
That
life.
is that's the heartbeat to
the heart
everything
of your
that I
life,
do.
right?
Yeah.
So you'll never forget that.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
wish I would have like cherished those friendships as I was growing up, and I didn't, and that's my mistake. Now as an adult, anytime I have a good solid friendship, I'm like, I cherish that and I hold it up on a pedestal and I do anything for my friend. Like, there's a couple of friends in my life, Ethan being one of them, that I will literally drop everything at a moment's notice. If you need me, I'm there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm there. I don't care what it is. I'm there. You need me, I'll stop everything I'm doing. I'll come to you.
It's like some, I don't know what for me the attraction, it's like sometimes it's like a talent, sometimes if it's just like a aura, a vibe. You see Mean Girls, the original?
Maybe.
Dude, it's that's one of my favorite movies ever. That's on my Mount Rushmore
Mean
movies.
Girls. Okay.
Yeah, dude,
I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I just don't know.
Incredible. You and your girlfriend got to go see it.
Okay.
Get it on DVD or whatever. Amazing. One of the quotes, like Tina Fey says, like, I'm a pusher, Katie. I push people. That weirdly resonates with me when I find like someone who's like a musician, but they don't really play out, and I'm just like, oh, you're so cool. Like, what do you do? What's this? What's that sort of thing? You could do this. You could do that. You could do that. Blah, 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 blah. Or if it's just someone, honestly, like you, where I didn't really know you that well, but just common interest of someone like Ethan, who's just an A+ dude,
Yeah.
who attracts good people, and then
Yeah.
meeting someone like you, and then being able to kind of just sit down and mingle.
Yeah. That's it.
It helps.
Good people attract other good people.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
But to kind of, I don't really have like a cool way to wrap this up. But I usually kind of tell people, if someone's like watching this and they watch the whole thing, or maybe they just skip straight to the end, what is one thing you kind of want to just like double down on and hone in on?
Double down and hone in on.
What is one thing that you would kind of want someone to know if they watch this whole thing, or maybe they just skip to the end? What is like the one thing that's like a message, something important
Wow.
out of all the stuff we talked about today? Because I mean, really kind of tied into creativity and individuality, but you really kind of created your own life from what you've told me. You've really kind of just, you sound very. I agree.
Yeah?
I agree. I agree. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Riley, it's okay, mama. Cherish your friendships. Cherish those people around you, and call your friends as often as possible and tell them that you love them. I have made it a point to tell all of my close friends every time before we get off the phone is, I love you. All my guy friends, literally. Like, I hang up with Ethan, love you, brother. Hang up with Kevin, love you, brother. It's always like that. And it's a whole new world for me. I didn't have a brother growing up, right? I had my sister, and of course, brothers and sisters, and she was older than me, so I was the annoying little brother.
Yeah.
We didn't really become friends until she moved out of the house, because then we were no longer in each other's space. And obviously we love each other and we're very close, but I didn't have that guy friendship relationship that, my whole life. I didn't have that growing up. And now that I have it as an adult, I cherish it more than anything. It's very important. It's very important that you're there for your brothers and you're there for your other your fellow friends, and make sure that you're reminding them constantly that you're there for them and that you love them. That's it. I mean, I think that's the most important thing.
I'm going to call some friends after this.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to call you too.
Yeah, man.
Dude.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, thank you, man.
Love you.